and welcome to Two Beers Deep. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Okay, I see. Wow. Okay, so I can see how many viewers each thing has because Riverside has its own streaming platform.
Oh, that's sick. Okay.
No
Learning something new. I love it.
Yeah, right. No announcements. No intro video. No. I don't know. Nothing's happening right now. We are okay.
Just bare boned as possible.
I mean, we're live on Facebook for the first time.
That was aggressive on that one, man.
Holy shit! Yeah, well, I'm just looking at it like we're live. There's that one. Let me see if the YouTube one's live. Yeah, everybody, welcome back to Two Beers Deep. We are live on both Facebook and YouTube as of right now. Quick update. So we should talk through the history of what got us here.
Yes.
You and I. So Josh stepped away because he had unprotected sex.
He did. And very, very, very bad on his part. Like, what was he thinking? Like,
or I guess you can call it starting a family or whatever.
Yeah, if you want to call it that, sure.
Which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so Greg and I have been in some version. I wonder if I could probably just share this. Can I share this on Facebook? Transfer video. I don't want to do that.
That sounds dangerous.
It does. I don't like that.
No, I wouldn't either.
I don't want to transfer shit. Okay, we'll leave it. Yeah, so we originally started Two Beers Deep on Facebook.
We did.
We started, well, I guess it was a podcast, and then we started on Facebook, and then moved to Twitch, and then moved to YouTube, and have been on YouTube. And we have a software in our back pocket that allows us to do YouTube and, which I'm an idiot. I don't know why I have a second laptop to look at my Facebook page when I'm using a computer that could just whatever.
You're just showing off for the fact that you have two laptops, by the way, and I can respect it. Just saying.
Well, one's a work one, and I'm technically not supposed to use it for personal reasons.
Oh, is this like when you and Josh tried to get me to use my work laptop for personal reasons, and I pushed back?
I should probably share the show from. Well, hold on, we'll address that in a second. From Talk to the Benches Facebook, but I don't care. Because I have more. No, the difference here is, Greg, is I am.
That's true.
So, nice try.
All right.
There we go. Yeah, I can't share.
I was trying to throw shade at you, and you just threw it right back at me. Jerk.
You're bad at throwing shade, buddy.
I am. It's not my nature at all.
Okay, well, that says only me. And now I set it to public. Now it's public.
I know that.
Learning it as we go.
You are learning as you go, and quite frankly, like the more you learn, the more knowledge you gain. That is how that works.
And it has this auto message. Thanks for joining our exclusive live. Deep is back live on Facebook because Greg and I missed at Kurt Budosh.
Did we, or did he miss us, or I'm just saying.
I don't know. We're gonna tag him and see.
All right.
So change that. Okay, it is live. It is up. So yes, we are back live on
Huzzah!
Facebook in a way. We are back live on YouTube in a way. Let's address kind of the differences here, though, Greg.
Okay.
No more graphics.
Bare bone right here.
We don't have graphics, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I liked the graphics in our heyday.
Yeah.
They didn't really add much recently.
I think it gave our producer something to do more than anything, but for the most part, I think bare boned is the way to go. We don't necessarily need graphics, but they're a nice bonus from time to time. My personal.
It was nice in the peak of it when we had all the topics and everything.
Yes,
I don't
that's
believe
true.
It needs to
be rehashed.
I mean, we started really with just a webcam in a desk and a bunch of like trophies and shit.
We did. They were your trophies and rings, by the way. Let's not forget that you did display the rings too. And everything had its place, by the way. We were very particular about making sure that like the right specific trophies were in the right camera shots too. So
yeah, well, they were necessary.
They were necessary.
And now I'm in an apartment in Nashville with a kitchen background.
With a dog also probably like roaming around in the background too.
Asleep on the couch because we took a little walk.
Aw, poor Beanie.
Yeah. And so we're here and we're on this, and at this point we're just going back to what the show used to be, which is we're just going to talk about stuff and not really have a set agenda, and I think that's fine.
I think that's
we don't know what the show is. The show is just what it is.
The show is us. Like, let's be real. The show is us, and everyone else can fuck off, is how I would look at it.
Okay.
There,
That's
simple
a
as that.
different. Well, it's just a different, not normal Greg take that I don't hate.
What would be a normal Greg take in this
Not
sense?
telling people to f off.
I didn't technically tell anyone to fuck
You
off. I just
said,
said in
and
general.
everyone else can.
Well, that's a general quote. I didn't specifically call someone out to fuck off. I'm just saying, like, it's a general thing.
I'm gonna ask Chip if he can. Oh, okay. There's a heart. I just want to see things.
You want to see? You want to test it out? Yeah, I got you. This isn't just
to the live video with a
this
heart.
isn't just us coming back from winter break. This is you like essentially a test for like the rest of the way to go. I'm excited.
That
for
is
this.
really all right. Send a message to Riverside, Facebook, and YouTube audiences. I don't care. I do need to figure out how to start the live stream with a different thing than the automated message because that's corny and I hate that.
Okay.
But anyways, okay. So Two Beers Deep is back. We also take January off,
We do.
which we did for my dad's podcast too. Kurt said you came back for me. What up?
That's a very loose description right there. But
Disagree. I came back for Kurt. I did.
came back
I
for
don't know why
Kurt.
you came back.
I don't know. I was always here on Thursdays, and you just finally sent me a link. That's
Yeah, which you couldn't figure out for a while. You were
I
scared.
couldn't. No, it was fine. We got it. We got straightened out. I'm on the laptop. We're okay.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so technically we have the whole month of January sports to catch up to, and the
Yeah.
last, I guess, 2 weeks, really, of December to catch up to. A lot has happened, a lot to react to. We can kind of bounce around and see. But you, Greg,
Yes, me, Greg.
are you caught up with Spider-Man?
I watched the 3 episodes in the middle of my workday, and let me just say,
Wow. Somebody call Highmark.
I was working from home. It's okay. And why would you throw my employer out here? Come on, man. Don't
It's
do that.
behind you on the wall.
Oh yeah, is it?
Yeah. Not that wall.
Oh, that. Yeah, whatever. But but no, I watched all 3 because I had like a lull in my day, and this is how I can tell I how much I love it. When the intro song plays, all 3 times that I was watching it, all 3 times I got goosebumps.
Yeah. It's a
That's
great intro.
It's a fucking phenomenal intro. But yes, I watched all 3. I'm all caught up. And the thing that I really love about the way that they're doing the show so far is that every single like classic villain from the Spider-Man mythos that has already appeared, they don't feel like larger than life villains that we're used to. They feel very grounded, and you're almost like very humanized. Like in episode
Hold on,
4.
real quick. We will say, if you have not caught up to Spider-Man, episode 5, I think is the latest one.
Yeah, episode 5 is the last one. Yeah.
You are about to hear spoilies.
Do you need to do a countdown or no?
Nope, go.
No. Okay, cool. I love the fact that we've been introduced to Doc Ock. We've been introduced to Sergey, who's technically the Rhino. They've been introduced to
unicorn.
the unicorn. We've been introduced to both Osborns. Both
AJ
Osborns.
Stewart said, "Hell yeah, what's up, AJ?"
What's up?
We haven't
And then-
seen him in a long time either.
I know. This is nice. I'm trying to think what other like grounded villains that we've seen so far, but no, I love the fact that we're getting like a more humanized look at the villains so far. You're not like these big over the top like grandiose take over the world type situations. You're taking a brand new approach on it, and I think it's a phenomenal concept because I think that's something that's been missing from a lot of the previous like Spider-Man entities. So I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So that's interesting too because in the cinematic universe and all the like the movies we've got about Spider-Man and everything, they have taken his bad guys. Even for example, Vulture. Like I understand that the Vulture thing is still the same as in the comics, but he feels like he could fight Captain America with his tech and things like that. And so we get in the MCU, which we can even start back with the first Spider-Man, the Andrew Garfield version at the second iteration. Like, no matter where it is, the bad guys feel larger than life.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a story in which we really saw the origin. We sped up.
Right.
And I love the direction they're taking of Friendly Neighborhood while knowing there are larger MCU things happening in this universe. But to your point, all of these people are day to day fighting, one step at a time type of villains. It's not I'm going to take over the world. It's I'm busting them out of jail, or I need a new lab, so I'm selling all this shit to all these little rinky dinkies
Right.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, I even love the different takes on some of the villains. Like I thought the Kirk Connor change I thought was great. Like
Yeah.
the idea of it being a female and someone who's like helping Peter like learn about Oscorp and energy. Like that's a interesting take that I wasn't expecting. I like the different high school friends too, because these people in here are not individuals from like the classic comics or
Yep.
like from the TV show we're used to. So I like that take on it as well. I'm a couple of things that like intrigue me that I love about it being so different. I like how the show isn't just a focus on Peter. I like the focus on Lonnie. Yeah, I love it. I don't know why. That because like in the grand scheme of things, like he's not a big like character in the Marvel universe at all. He's more line just like kind of like in the comics he's like a goon character that works for a crime boss. But like this show has made me care about him, and that's impressive to do for a minor character like that.
Yeah, they so obviously I had to do some digging into what he was.
Yeah, I did too.
Kinda looked into
I
a
did
lot
too.
of them.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing that'll come out of it is like you see especially when they meet up and they walk. So in episode, I believe is 1 or 2, when they become science partners and Lonnie and him meet outside by the fence, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, football practice was canceled," and Peter's like, "Are you gonna chillax or whatever?" And they go different routes. It is a really good visual representation of the path the two of them are choosing, because Peter, on his own, has the ability to get swept up by Norman Osborn. He obviously is the brainchild of Peter Parker. That's what we always look for.
Right.
Lonnie, on the other hand, he has this caring family that just happens to be in the wrong part of town.
Right.
He has everything going for him. He has the future, and it's the juxtaposition between Peter Parker, who believes he shouldn't be at this school. He believes he shouldn't have gotten the internship. All this stuff, and it's going right for him, whereas Lonnie is set up to get everything, and you can see how it's just not happening. They did a really good job with the cop driving by him that made it look cool. They did a really good job with his family life and like making the brother out to be something. I will say I don't know if I loved how instantly his brother got roped into the gang stuff, because the first time you see him, his brother just needs help with his homework.
Right.
Second time we see him, the cops brought him home. Third time we see him, Big Don says he came to us. I wish there would have been something else that tied it why he went to the gang, unless I missed something.
No, I don't recall them introducing anything like that. Like, I assume it's probably his little brother probably thought that he was trying to help the family with like financial aspects, I imagine, and then probably
true.
looked at it as that. I mean, like, that's possible. I mean, like, I do get what you're saying. I kind of find it unfortunate that it was essentially used as like not a cheap hook to get Lonnie where he is,
It
but
just like happened. Like I do wish it would have been. So when Peter comes home and Aunt May has the old rent, you missed your rent due thing.
Right.
I wish we would have seen that in Lonnie's house, because then the brother would have had justice. You know what I mean, or something.
Okay.
But now it just seems in his ability to just get up from the table and be like, "Fine, Lonnie, we're going home." He just seems like a kid who made a really stupid mistake, which I think that's what they're going for. I think they're going for the fact that the little brother made a really stupid mistake, which then ruined Lonnie's life in a way.
Yes.
But I wish, I'm not looking for a reason for the kid to like, it's tied to money or something. I just want to know why he went to them. If something would have happened where he would have gotten in trouble and blamed, like he got picked on or was getting beat up or something. It's just like they just said, "Oh, well, he's a young black kid who's going into the gang world." Which
Right.
maybe that's what they were going for. It just feels like there could have been something tied in there.
Yeah, and I also like also kind of like when you're hearing Big Don's like reasoning for what he's doing is that he doesn't consider himself a gang, he considers himself protection for his neighborhood. There's like that connection to it that I guess he has like pride in it and stuff, and he wants others to see his aspect. It's a twisted version of how I guess we look at that society in general. It's kind of like how have you ever seen Warriors?
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like when that movie first came out and stuff. Like it was completely like 180 compared to like the concept of what gangs were. It's not like
Yeah.
saying like anything about gangs being bad or gangs like being these like nuisances. It's just like the culture of gangs and what they essentially represent and kind of like the hierarchy with them. So it's like it's a different take on it. I'm curious to see where it leads to. I'm imagining a scenario where we see kind of like where like in this first season, I think it's the rise of Peter learning to accept his gifts and like kind
for
of
sure.
get more confident. But it's kind of the fall of Lonnie, who had all this promise, and then where it lead to all because of him protecting his family.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a stellar show. I love the Osborne family. I think that they're really cool. I think the position to make them black is interesting and fun and brings a whole new dynamic of Lonnie's kind of low-level life in his family and how there's another family who is black who has made it to these large ranks in life. I think that's a dynamic that will come out.
Coleman Domingo's voice doesn't correlate with me to what he actually looks like. It's weird.
Yeah.
like hearing him as Norman Osborn, like it's so proper. And I know he has like, I believe he's British. I think he is.
Oh, yeah.
So like I can kind of like get that, but like it's weird when I look at him, I don't see that voice at all. So it's like really weird kind of me for hearing that. But I think he's a great Norman Osborn so far. I'm fascinated to see, and that's the other thing too, how we're seeing like all these like famous like villain characters. I'm intrigued to see how the show is going to get them to cause the turn for them.
Yeah. They're doing a good job of like walking through it right now, but
Yeah.
I agree. It's going to be really interesting.
What's your take so far on the because like based on like episode 4 when they talk about the Sokovia Accords, like you're kind of like aware like okay, this is an alternate version of the MCU. So like essentially this is taking place where instead of where like the Battle of New York already occurred, like all this other stuff happened, and this is a different take on it. Like what do you think about like bringing like the larger aspect of that into the show? Because I'm curious if we get like the story kind of like in Civil War in the comics where Peter does end up revealing his identity to the world. So I'm curious if they with that at all.
I'm interested because in the Sokovia Accords stuff, for me, there's obviously a couple things to unpack. The biggest being that Spider-Man is not there. Right. The recreation of the scene when they meet Norman Osborn is in those movies, Iron Man, and Iron Man is recruiting him as opposed to Norman Osborn keeping him there.
Right.
The other interesting thing about all the Sokovia Accords stuff is that it is the driving force as to why Norman needs to be a part of Team Spider-Man. Like it is really the underlying reason why, because he believes that he wants a superhero that he can say he helped get there because it stands on virtue and all this stuff. And you can clearly see how that path is going to lead to some Green Goblin iteration there.
Right.
I think that it's interesting for a few reasons. The main one being that if there was a Sokovia Accords, that means there was a New York.
Right.
Now, in the MCU, they mention New York all the time. New York is the reason for Tony Stark's paralysis in fights. It is the reason for Kingpin and Daredevil's movement when Hell's Kitchen is getting rebuilt. It is the reason for building Ultron, which led to Sokovia and Accords.
Right.
The interesting thing for me with this, they have not once mentioned that in any way, shape, or form. They really have left it to be Civil War is happening, and there was a fight at an airport out there. I think it's interesting that they're not running on the traditional tropes because that New York battle was up to, I guess, Endgame. The single biggest thing really that set everything off because it let people know there was a Thor out there or something else, which is, Spider-Man does say when he's introduced to a costume with a cape, I'm not Thor, right? Like, I'm not worthy and all that.
Right.
But I do think it's interesting that because I would have assumed Norman was a part of the rebuild of New York. I would have assumed there was something that while Spider-Man is helping New York, other superheroes would have been noticing and introducing themselves to him a little quicker. But this also could be they're saying, hey, all the other superheroes are tied up with the Sokovia Accord stuff.
Yeah.
That's why Spider-Man's able to operate by himself.
Or on the run, because they even talk about in episode 5 where like they
want to look like Cap. And,
they're picking between Cap and Iron Man, and there's legit conversation about whose side people are on. So I'm so fascinated that they're bringing that element to it, because I wonder if that's going to play in as the series progresses about how people view Spider-Man, because we're getting into the early stages of Spider-Man where like when he was like more of a college student and he was working for the Daily Bugle and stuff, and there was always that animosity because the Bugle used him as like fodder for like, he was bad, he was a menace and all this stuff, and that's not what this show is necessarily about as of this moment. But if they do tie in the Civil War aspect of it, I'm curious if like you could see a situation where like the public turns on him because of that. So I love this show. I love it. When I first watched it, it's like, oh, this is exactly what I want for a Spider-Man show.
Sid said, "Best day of my life," to us being back on Facebook.
Oh, and here's to you starting the other best day of your life, Sid. 3, 2, 1, yakshan.
Now that Sid's here, let's dive into this conversation. So I think Dre is so categorically wrong on his continued stance that Russell Wilson was the larger problem over Arthur Smith in the offense. Sid and I had a group chat come up with that same conversation. People are saying it's not true, it's true, I don't really care too much. Greg, what I know to be true, we beat Cincinnati.
We did.
Russ was calling different plays at the line during Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
We looked good.
We did.
I know that was true. We finished the season a fucking joke.
Mm-hmm.
True. I also know the first 3 games of the season with Justin Fields, not once did I go, wow, this is a professional quarterback playing quarterback. Now, granted, he wasn't given the full playbook. He wasn't really given the hands to the team. He was always Russ's team, which I'm sure is, it's a thing.
He was eased into the starting role. Like he was given like a beginner's guide to the offense instead of like full access to it,
Oh, I can do that. That's interesting. I can click a button and pull up comments.
Ooh.
Chip.
This is
I made
dangerous.
a New Year's resolution to read more. Thanks for closed captions.
You're welcome, Chipper.
You're welcome, Chip. Thanks for being here.
Read books. They're good for you. I read comic books a lot, so
I honestly don't have the closed captions up on my version, so I'm going to click live captions, and I'm going to say fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck. And I just want to see.
I want that like that picture just framed with like the captions of you saying fuck, fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck.
Well, here it comes. Okay, so they block fuck, not fuckity.
Huh.
Interesting. Okay. Chip, Sid, AJ, Kurt, good to have you guys back on Facebook here. Back to the Steelers.
Go ahead.
When Russ steps in,
Mm-hmm.
and this is kind of my entire take on everybody that's like hating on Russ. Russ stepped in, doing his little dance.
Mm-hmm.
We're throwing the ball.
Right.
We look like an NFL team.
Mm-hmm.
We are winning. Now, you can argue that that's because we had the lesser, quote-unquote, half of the schedule. You can do whatever you want to do there, Greg. I don't understand. Is the Russ hate just because of how the season ended? I don't get the Russ hate, and I don't see. Justin Fields is young. Justin Fields is athletic. Justin Fields is a good quarterback. Mm-hmm. I don't see what is making people call him our franchise quarterback outside of this made-up perception of opportunity because he's young and athletic.
Well, and first of all, like if this story didn't come out today, or was it? I don't think it was yesterday that talked about like Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson clashing or something. Oh,
fuck.
That's gonna be a good profile picture someday. But in all seriousness, like if this story didn't come out about Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson clashing, like in terms of like how to run the offense, like what would the opinion of this be, like in general?
I think people would still be sitting there just calling him bad. Like I really think that's what it would be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think I am not the biggest. I'm not the biggest Russell Wilson fan in general. I think like there were just too many stories from Denver and how he handled that whole situation that really kind of turned me like.
Which nobody is bringing up in your defense.
Mm-hmm.
That you are the first person that has brought up the Denver situation, in which we talked on this show, having concerns about in real time, not from the Steelers' perspective, but there. Just to call out, you are the first person.
Yeah, because like
we mentioned that right now.
Because I think the entire football world and the entire fandom looked at the Denver situation, especially that first year, and realized like, oh, this is what happens when you give Russell Wilson full control, and it just doesn't work. So I think
can we also understand that Nathaniel Hackett was hired to bring in Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, that's fair.
Okay,
but let's also be clear here too. Russell Wilson was still a Super Bowl winning quarterback that was coming off of a great run in Seattle and was still in his prime when he went to Denver. He may have been near the end, but he was still in his prime. And they had a very good offensive weaponry to work with him. And he still, I think
who is very good on that team.
I'm not saying Cortland Sutton because that's going to give Dre too much fodder.
I'm not saying Jerry Jeudy. I'm not saying Javonte Williams. I'm not saying Noah Fant because he was shipped in the trade. I'm not saying they had Greg Dortch at who he is at that. Like, I am so over.
That team was also very young though when he was the quarterback though. Those were two very young not rookies, but they were two very young receivers that he was able to work with. So it's
I'm speaking in hindsight, so you are correct.
So I look at the potential for what that offense could have been, and sure, you can blame Hackett for what it is because he ran that offense and stuff, but Russell Wilson was still the quarterback. It's the same situation here where you can blame Arthur Smith, but Russell Wilson was the quarterback. And the offense sputtered. I think there's a connection there for why an offense kind of sputters, and it sounds like Russell Wilson. Even though I will say, Even though I will say that in terms of the weaponry we have to work with our offense was probably not the best. I will give you that. That's fair.
Justin writes in, I just seen a post about Russ not going to be in Pittsburgh next year. Not sure if it was a legit. I love pulling these comments up on screen. Saw that too. So that came, Justin, off the heels of Media Week and the conversations about Jay Glazer, who is as tapped in as anybody.
Yeah, I give him a lot of credit for how damn near accurate he is in some of that stuff.
He's so cool.
Yeah, I love Shefty, but Jay Glazer is
Shefty's a newsbreaker. Jay Glazer is hey, this is just what I'm being told, and it works. But Glazer came out and said that Russ will be finding a new home next year. Obviously, he's highly teased to Vegas with Pete Carroll there. I personally, if I may, I don't see Vegas as his landing spot because I don't believe Tom Brady would want that. And I think Brady's going to be pulling some strings there. Some realistic situation that might occur, I would not, I think, I don't know how to word this.
Go ahead.
They kicked the tires everywhere else. I don't think I'm turning away the concept of him being a Cleveland Brown.
Okay. I'm all for this logic. Go ahead.
They're not bringing Jameis back. They are, they might go after Kirk. They might try to get Sam Darnold.
Telling you my idea's in play. Just saying, my idea still works.
Yeah, so we'll see. But Russ, there, I would see in my mind the Raiders are going to do everything in their power. Yes, Keaton, this is real. How are you, buddy? I think the Raiders do everything in their power to get Shedeur. I think Shedeur trains with Brady. I think Shedeur is the pocket passer guy that everybody can look at here. I think Ward is as good a Tennessee Titan as anyone on the roster. I don't think the Browns take Shedeur at 2. Okay. I think if they're moving on from Myles Garrett, you take Abdul Carter. Okay. I think you look at 3 with the Giants. They would be stupid not to go Shedeur because they need a franchise quarterback. Absolutely. Meaning the Browns will have to give up the second pick for the Raiders to get the guy that they want.
Yeah, and if they're going to rebuild if they get rid of Myles Garrett, they're going to get a treasure trove of picks, and they trade down so that they can so that the Raiders can get a quarterback, they'll get another treasure trove of picks. So The once again rebuild of the Cleveland Browns would be in full effect in that case. And I also find it great that even when we're talking about Russell Wilson and stuff, we still find a way to get to the draft somehow, which is just tells you how our brains function in this sense. So that's great.
Well, hold on. I am gonna. Okay, so share my screen.
Okay.
I'm gonna see what this looks like. Do not share tab audio. Share window. I'm curious, and I'm looking. I know, guys, we're gonna be on a tape delay, so everyone, you're back to Derek just looking at shit.
Nothing wrong with that.
I have an ad on my screen. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I do see your screen though, by the way. Oh, can we do mock drafts together? Like, so I don't have to have my laptop or phone on? Oh, this is incredible. And I can actually see the board without like guessing and like using my brain to prove how much I know people. This is incredible.
Alexa, shut up. I didn't ask for you. Okay. I did, and I shut up. I did, and I closed it, and so I think we're back to just us.
Yes, you did.
Okay. Wow. Look at this. Okay, we're here. Okay, this is real.
Yeah,
Browser needs screen sharing position. Shut up. Okay, so anyways, back to it. We could do mocks on an actual screen together.
This is incredible.
Yeah, so back to the Russ situation in Pittsburgh. I am not standing here, Greg, fighting for our quarterback next year to be Russell Wilson.
Okay.
But I am saying that this disdain for Russ and this passion for Fields literally is only rooted in everyone's ability to say Justin Fields is young. Justin Fields is Peyton. It's a hope thing. I've seen nothing out of him.
I think it's also
so serious, Greg.
I think it's also
outside of his.
Is it also a cheap thing as well because of the fact that like we know Russ is going to demand a lot of money and we know
I think we're all just past Russ because here's the real reason. Because Russ is going to win us 10 football games.
That's fair.
Yes, Russ is going to win that. With Fields, and Sid brought this up in a group chat once, with Fields, he is either going to win us 10 games and we're in the same place, or he's going to stink. And we're going to have a losing season, and that is the only way to actually get talent in this league.
Right. And in fairness, too, and also, like, if we get Justin Fields, his contract's going to be cheaper, which means you can backload the rest of that roster in spots that you absolutely need to fill it in, you know? So, like, I look at it as, like, from a whole team concept, I think it's better that we have Justin Fields in this sense. And let's not kid ourselves here, too. Like, he was our starter for 6 games. I think he was okay. He turned the ball over once in those games too, which is something that he struggled with in Chicago. So I see the growth. I need to see him given more opportunities to pass the ball though.
Brian, oh look, Derek decided he is not too good to podcast again. Brian is upset because we paused Under the Table and Dreaming, my dad's podcast, without asking his permission.
Why'd you need his permission?
Because he's our only listener.
Oh, okay. That's.
I also think there's a thing on here that says 10 seconds, and I kind of want to press it. I think that would make it so Brian can't comment again in 10 seconds, but I'm not sure.
That'd be phenomenal if that's the case. You could punish commenters in that case.
I pressed it, and I think that's what it did. I don't know, because now it says 20 seconds.
Is it like the mute button on around the horn?
I think so.
That's incredible.
Oh, no. Okay, it goes 5, 10, 20, off. I don't know what that is. It's how long the comment stays on the screen. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So he just wrote one that says rude. I'll pop that on screen when it comes through. I can see the real life chat. Anyways, yeah. I don't see us coming out of the draft with a quarterback that is something. All right, so let's see. If it's 20 seconds and I hit share on.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen stuff about them like being interested in Will Howard and Kyle McCord and anything like that, and I'm like, okay, fine, but that's not something that's gonna
Kyle McCord is somebody I want.
Really?
I want Kyle McCord. I am big on him. Now, I think it was Dre. Dre said it without any. He says everything.
Yes, he does.
Which is why I don't credit him when he's right.
Dre's big on Will Howard.
Say everything
from that.
Well, not Will Howard. I'm talking about he had said Jackson Dart will go in the first round like 2 months ago, and that's not like a claim of me saying, "Oh wow, he called that 2 months ago." He also said Quinn and Jalen and Ryan Howard will go in the goddamn second. I don't know. You say everything. Dart is getting some first-round buzz, and he'll be that tail end of the first, maybe. We'll see what happens at the Combine, a lot there.
Yeah.
But McCord, Riley Leonard, Ryan Howard, these are guys late in the draft that teams will want because I don't see how an NFL franchise looks at Sean Clifford and says, I want that guy, and then looks at this crop of guys and doesn't think, wow, I want those guys instead. McCord threw for over 4,000 yards. He was Ohio State's guy before he felt like he got burnt. And I'm telling you, they win a natty for sure with him still there. Yeah. I love this Syracuse team coming into the Combine.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, yes, I saw the worst game Syracuse played all year. Like, so I have I have differing opinions on this, but I can't understand the love for that because I also think McCord wasn't really asked to do much for that team last year at Ohio State. So I think that's kind of
no.
Yeah, so like he proved himself capable of being able to do what he can do at Syracuse, and that offense like really was productive. I think they had a 10-win season this year, I think, which is not easy at Syracuse. Yeah, so I think he could surprise some people at the Combine. In terms of Jackson Dart stuff, I think in fairness, like quarterbacks are always going to get over like valued in every draft we do. Like that's just how it is. Like Bo Nix shouldn't have been the number 12 player taken, but he was in the right situation.
Well, it's the Senior Bowl bump too. He had a little Senior Bowl bump.
It is the Senior Bowl bump. That's fair. I think Dart might get some excitement on.
I think he should have gone higher.
Who? Bo Nix?
Established. Shit. All right. Let's see what we got. I have an idea.
All right. What's your idea? I'm fascinated to see this idea. I don't even want to know at this point. Okay. The fuck is he doing?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I didn't even think about this. My PC hooked up to my Wi-Fi. I did not have it hardwired in, so now I am plugged into my internet, so that should solve it.
I was going to say, like, on my end, you are, like, extremely fuzzy.
Well, I would ask you for sure, Bean. What? I hate you. Shut up, Sid. I would ask a question, and you would just power through and then ask what? And I was like, oh, that's clearly something wrong. I'm eating a bag of chips. So, Bo Nix should have gone way higher in hindsight. If we redraft that right now, you think Bo Nix goes where? You think he falls?
Hindsight.
These are the best chips on the planet, too, by the way.
What, Mesquite? Smokehouse. Okay.
Miss Vicky's.
Are they kettle cooked? Mm-hmm. Oh, kettle cook's the way to go. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Can't go wrong. I think they make like jalapeno kind too. Mm-hmm. Chef's kiss on that one. Mm-hmm.
He's bang, Sid.
Ooh, if we do a redraft, I don't think he goes over Caleb. I don't think he goes over. He obviously doesn't go over. He hasn't. You can just do it right now if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I think he goes over Jaden. Trying to think like who else was high in that draft. I think he has an argument to go over Penix in fairness. But I'm also like just thinking about this too, like of those teams above him, above 12 where the Broncos took him, like off the top of my head, I'm not sure who would. Well, Giants maybe, but then again, like you're passing on Malik Neighbors, so like I would be surprised if they do that. Even. What?
Sid said you've been looking like a 7-Eleven security camera until right now. So the other thing for everyone listening, this software records the video on both ends. So if I do look like a 7-Eleven, that means something is going on here. It is not Greg's fault like it normally is.
I know, usually is my fault. This is weird as hell for me. Yeah, it's nice.
All right.
It's nice. This is what I get for paying that fancy ass internet to be able to do this on a Chromebook. I'm very happy it worked out this time for me.
All right. So if I go to create your own mock, can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
All right. Love this website. If anybody does mock drafts, the only problem is they need to get some new servers.
Yeah, it's very clunky, in fairness, but
Very clunky, very bad on mobile.
but I do like that they are at least like compiling a consensus board of like every site around it, though. They don't have like their own specific scouting report. There's no hidden agenda.
Let us enter the draft room. All right. So Caleb, okay, let's redraft it.
Okay.
Who do the Bears take?
I think they still take Caleb.
I think you're fucking crazy. Are you
I think-
serious?
I think they still take Caleb.
How?
I'm sorry. Even if you redo it, like I don't think Jaden has the same success in Chicago as he would in Washington. Man, I don't see it.
We are drafting as of right now today.
Okay.
I think Jaden Daniels and Drake may both go above Caleb Williams.
That's. I feel like that's very hard for you to admit. By the way, that like
Drake may still third in this one.
Fair.
Okay, whatever. Regardless, let's go. So
All right.
if it's Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, they're the 1-2. We can agree there.
Yes.
Drake May. I don't think Bo Nix is going above Drake May.
I don't either. I think Drake May has proven that he's got the talent to play in the NFL.
Dude, it's 100% the Giants.
Yeah, Cardinals wouldn't take him. I can't see that. Would the Giants prefer J.J. McCarthy over Bo Nix, though?
I don't think so because JJ, the knee surgeries are huge for me.
Well, let's be clear. Those knee surgeries didn't occur until training camp.
Sid said I'm taking Bo over everyone but Daniels.
Okay.
I mean,
But I'm just pointing this out here, man. Like McCarthy didn't tear his meniscus until like the middle of training camp, and then he
that's
didn't.
his second major knee surgery, right?
Well, no, he had two knee surgeries this year, and I believe like the meniscus was the first one, and then the second one was like in December. So right now, you're essentially saying like, okay, if you're the Giants and we don't know, and we're doing this in hindsight, would you rather take Bo Nix or would you rather take McCarthy? Because essentially, they're similar between the two of them,
I'm
man.
gonna say this flat out: Giants would take Bo.
Okay.
Titans would take Bo. Atlanta would take Bo. The Jets would probably take Bo. The Vikings would probably still take McCarthy because Sam Darnold had a crazy year.
Right. But we're comparing this also, like, because you have it on quarterbacks. Like, look who else is on that board before you do that.
Okay. Crickets comes in and says Greg in all caps.
Hi, Christian.
Go ahead.
If we're looking at the rest of that board, okay. I'm the Giants. I'm probably, if like the quarterback is still on the board, I don't know if I take Malik Neighbors. I'm probably not taking Roma Dunza, that's for sure. No. Dallas Turner being that high is still wild to me, so.
I mean, Latham was great for the Titans this year.
He was.
Who they picked there. Yeah, I mean, Latu in hindsight. I mean, for me, dude, I'm going to stop sharing and come back. It just is Bo. Okay. He looked great.
He did.
Made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean.
No, the Broncos are on a rise. Like, that's you can't deny that whatsoever. But I'm looking at it as, like, would Bo have succeeded in any other situation?
Vo says they're back. What up, Vo Tash?
Hi, Vo.
We are. No Ricketts brother can keep us down. Not even Jordan.
Yeah, don't tell Jordan.
Still to this day, the biggest drop-off in fans we've ever had was Jordan Ricketts coming on to talk.
In fairness, like, we could partially also blame that on it being the week of the Pro Bowl, which is like the worst sports week of the year. So
We didn't have that problem the year before.
we did not. That's fair. But we did get a lot of beer though, so at least we had that.
We did get a lot of beer.
We get a lot of beer.
I don't know. I think if we go into next season, Justin Fields is the most realistic option for us to go into next season with an inkling of hope.
So okay then. So is that okay then in your opinion then to essentially say like I'd rather have hope instead of the proven commodity of Russell Wilson that is it's what Russ I feel like is just this like he's this enigma of a player, you know, like you know he was good in Seattle. You saw the bad in Denver. Pittsburgh's like the middle ground almost, where it's like he's trying to get that last hope of being like the guy, but you know it's not there, and you also know, do you want to give him a 3-year contract, paying him like an absorbent amount of money?
That's my thing, yeah.
That's my point. People can get all bent out of shape about like, okay, yeah, Justin Fields is younger and stuff like that. Like, no, Justin Fields is the smarter reason to do this because it's gonna manage our cap a lot better. We're gonna be able to probably re-sign some guys we would have lost if we had to tie all that money up to Russ. And let's also think about this too. We have what, 3 years with Justin Fields? Potentially, if we do that, 3 years. Give him 3 years. By the time he's 28, we can make that decision about if we give him a franchise quarterback contract. If we don't
want to give a 28-year-old franchise quarterback money?
28? I think 28 is usually like 28's kind of like the area where I think he gets the big contracts. So
Vo writes in, how are you guys going to feel when Pickett throws a TD in the Super Bowl?
I'll be elated for him, and I've never said that Kenny Pickett was a bad college quarterback. I wasn't necessarily wanting him when we drafted him, but
you saw my face. Bueno,
you saw my reaction.
It's got to be Malik. Sid says, if winning 10 games is the goal, sign Russ. That is also the point that we're talking about. Russ is going to win us 10 games, and we're going to be in this situation next year, and we're going to lose to the goddamn Bengals in the first round or some shit.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's not give this much credit to the Bengals. They're going to...
Oh, good. Dre's here. Dre. Let's talk about WrestleMania.
It is
One
official.
thing I want to say before that.
Mm-hmm.
You're an idiot. Let's go to WrestleMania. Because what just happened was the Royal Rumble, right?
It was the official kickoff to WrestleMania season, yes.
I have a couple thoughts.
Yes. By the way, I am going to point this out here.
I love you.
If you are turning the draft group chat into another wrestling group chat, I'm all for this. I'm all for this because I've got a lot of wrestling group chats already. So like, if you add more to this layer and you start getting on and you start like investing into wrestling again, I'm all for this. Just saying.
Appreciate you stopping by. I got to jump off. Glad to see your pod again, cuz. Have a good night. Good seeing you.
Thanks, bud.
Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, we've been rocking, guys. We've been we stepped away from Facebook probably 5 years ago. Went to Twitch for
we did
3 years, YouTube for 2. And it just now we have a software that allows us. So we're streaming live on YouTube, streaming live on Riverside. I'm probably gonna get a TikTok stream up here next time, just to see what happens. But let's talk WrestleMania. So and not even WrestleMania. Let's talk Royal Rumble. Let's talk whatever. Okay. I have some very serious questions in here.
I will gladly answer all your wrestling related questions, sir. And before the record, don't listen to Dre with regards to anything wrestling related. It never goes well. But go ahead.
No, of course not.
No.
I was watching a video today.
Okay.
On the 10 things that Triple H has changed.
Okay.
From Vince. Really cool.
Okay.
Talked a lot about, the list of words, like people couldn't say belt. And talked a lot about how Triple H had that promo where he used words like heel and babyface, which is always cool.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was so cool. Yeah.
He talked about in there how he... I also got to jump off because I'm trying to be like Luca and ball out with a full stomach. I guess Dre's going to the Y.
Oh.
Play basketball.
Good luck.
Good luck, Dre. A lot of cool stuff. He basically talked about how he let the fans know this is entertainment at its finest, and we have peeled back the curtain. The one that I found kind of astonishing is Triple H reset how the WWE treats the older generation superstars at events. How Vince really didn't give him time of day, brought him back and stuff. It kind of surprises me that in the wave, and maybe I'm just thinking of it differently than like it should be thought about. In the wave of AEW, it's taking Cody Rhodes, taking Johnny Moxley, all this take, claiming back almost every inch of wrestling for the fandom.
Yeah.
It really surprises me, and maybe Triple H already had WWE at this point, I'm not really sure, that AEW didn't go after the Golden Generation wrestlers harder.
I get what you're saying. There's a little bit of it's interesting with that one because even with Vince like still in charge, a lot of those like wrestlers from like the golden era that they still, some of them are signed to like Legends contracts. So essentially like that's how they're in video games. That's how they get action figures made. That's how they still have merch sold for them and all that. So a lot of times like they'll sign them to deals, but for no times more, all you're getting is like royalties or something like that. And I think that's what Vince didn't have, like the human connection with regards to like being able to like appreciate the generation that kind of like gave him what they had. That's like now they brought Saturday Night's Main Event back. So like it's like a 4-time-a-year type thing. And Jesse the Body Ventura, who was the original heel color commentator in the 80s in the rock and wrestling era, is brought back to like host it and stuff. And it's stuff like that. It's nostalgic, but it's also, it feels fresh and it feels new because they're using a lot of the stars that have like really grown up with that to be able to get people over in that sense. So I think Triple H has learned to show gratitude for the people that helped build WWE in a different way than Vince did. Vince thought that Vince to a degree, and the reason Vince thought this is because like for the most part, like all it is about the money and the miles in terms of wrestling, how you get paid. I think Triple H, what he did is he took the more human approach of it to be like, we appreciate everything that you did to get us here. This would not be here if it wasn't for your contributions. So I think that's the refreshing aspect where Triple H shows more empathy with regards to this, whereas Vince took it more like from a business perspective and practical standpoint of like taking care of someone that way. So I think that's the way to kind of view it, and I can agree that's a big change from what they get.
Yeah, and that was just one of the things. I mean, I want to get more into the actual matches, but that was one thought because I'm sitting there and I'm listening to all the awesome things Triple H had done and is doing, and all the stuff Triple H is like driving toward. Like one of the big ones I loved about Triple H is he was talking about how Vince would make changes to the script day of, and how Triple H goes into his team. And the interesting thing was Triple H said, one thing I learned from Vince was the big picture and looking far out, which is so contradictory to changing scripts the day of, unless you are the only one with the vision. So if you have the vision, then you're going to change things for the better. Triple H said he goes in a room full of writers before some matches and is like, how will this impact WrestleMania? We technically don't know, but what's our thoughts? So going into WrestleMania, the winner of the Royal Rumble does what?
The winner of the Royal Rumble gets a world title match at WrestleMania against the champion of their choosing. That is for the men and that is for the women as well.
Now, champion of their choosing.
Yes. And it's usually the world championship of their choosing because there's 2 champions on each show. There is a World Heavyweight Champion on Raw, which is Gunther, and there's the WWE Champion on SmackDown, which is Cody Rhodes. Just like for the women on Raw, it's Rhea Ripley. On SmackDown, it's Tiffany Stratton.
Who the shit is Gunther?
You remember you remember Walter, like the big dude that like chopped people that like would leave like the handprint? No. Big Austrian dude, like really chunky and stuff like that.
He's so fat.
Yeah, but now he's way thinner. He's thinner, yeah.
I don't know if I like that.
You don't like that he's skinny?
You can't just lose weight and still be a wrestler.
He thought it would keep him around for longer and stuff.
Apparently, is he good?
Oh yes. Like he came to he made his name in Europe for years, and then he signed with WWE in 2019, I believe. Yeah, 2019. And he was only gonna be in the UK for the longest time when they had the NXT UK brand and stuff. And then, funny enough, when Triple H took over like full time, that's how he eventually like was able to be convinced to come over.
That was another thing, how Vince wanted his hands on so much of the control that he didn't care about foreign entities. He really did the Miami, the Saudi Arabia, the LA, the Texas. Like he kept it to like the big ones he knew. And they were talking in this video too about how the suppression of those larger events to other countries hurt the fan base in a way, and foreign-born wrestlers. They were like, well, why would I go there? And so that seems to be a direct correlation to that, which is cool. Okay, so Uso can go in, Jay, right?
Jey Uso, yes.
He can challenge Cody Rhodes or Gunther. And so that's undisputed WWE or World Heavyweight Champion?
Yes.
Okay. He's obviously going to go after Cody Rhodes. That seems like undisputed sounds better than
it does, but we don't know because
he's not a heavyweight though. That always threw me off.
Yeah, the heavyweight thing I think is not like it's just tradition to call it heavyweight because there's like the stigma, like the heavyweight champion of the world in boxing or something like that. Like I personally don't think the heavyweight thing like plays anymore in WWE or anything, but like it's to each their own.
Okay. So, what does the winner of the Elimination Chamber get?
Whichever
is going to be the foundation of all my
whichever champion Jay chooses to face, the other champion needs an opponent at Mania. So whoever wins the chamber is going to get that champion.
So, because I think, as did everyone, it would have been so easy to let John Cena have his WrestleMania moment from the Rumble.
Right.
Everybody loves Jay, though.
Yes.
Is what I know, like, dude, they were awesome back in the day as a tag team duo. Yeah. I liked the head at the table bloodline. I thought it was a good storyline. I really did. From afar, obviously didn't get too much in.
Right.
But they really are Jay, who, I mean, these are Rafiki's kids?
Rikishi, yeah. These are Rikishi's kids.
Yeah. Fucking monkey. Rikishi's kids, thank you. And so they know the industry. They've been around forever. And it's really cool to see them and Rhodes and Dom, these like legacy guys in the business.
Yeah.
It looked like, though, as much as everyone was excited, they were excited because they were surprised that Cena did not win.
I can honestly tell you, when I watched it in person, I was genuinely stunned that Jay won. I was genuinely stunned because when it came down to him and Cena, I totally thought, oh, this has to be Cena. Like, this is set up perfectly for Cena to win his Rumble and get his shot at
Which I don't think anyone would have hated that.
No one would have hated. But then seeing Jay win, it was shocking because I didn't expect it to happen, and I think what's cool about it is you're seeing someone get rewarded for getting as popular as he did, and being able to get a crowd invested to him and stuff, and being able to get that emotion for it. And I think getting that reward is something that is lost that has been lost for a while now. So I'm excited for it. The thing that I find interesting is like the two people that won the Rumble matches. I think the thing that's I do like that. I think the thing that kind of gets lost is that I think the thing that gets lost sometimes is that it should technically be the main event of WrestleMania, because it's like to you and to me, the main event should be the last match on the card. But it's not always the case. You're guaranteed a world championship match. So when I saw the two winners, I was like, oh, how are they gonna play that out as the main events when there's all these other guys that you could probably make the case as like the headliners of Mania and stuff. And how are they going to do that with the card?
Do they have Mania matches already ready?
No, they haven't declared anything for Mania yet.
Okay, I thought so. I just wanted.
There's rumors and stuff about what it could be and what they might book, but nothing is official yet.
Yeah, but we do know Gunther and Cody Rhodes will wrestle.
Yes, they will wrestle
for the belt.
Yes, they'll defend their championships at Mania. Yes.
What other are all belts on the line at WrestleMania?
I believe so. Yeah. I'm pretty sure most titles are defended at Mania. Yeah.
And when is Money in the Bank?
That's in July.
And can Money in the Bank cash into any match at all, or does it have to be for one belt?
They have.
Can you cash Money in the Bank for Intercontinental?
Yeah,
or
yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can. Yeah, but no one. Yeah, no one has Money in the Bank contract right now. Drew won it and tried to cash in that night, and then Punk ruined it. Tiffany Stratton had won hers and then cashed in like a month ago and just won her title. So no one has Money in the Bank right now.
Okay. So then let's go back to Elimination Chamber.
Okay.
That is, I don't know, like, call me really, really, really dumb.
Okay. I'm not calling you that, but go ahead.
This has to be Cena.
I can't imagine it would be anyone else.
That would just be. So, and I watched his press conference about how he's like, I'm an industry guy. I'll do whatever.
I watched that live. I thought it was great.
He's he's the second greatest actor to ever come out of the WWE, behind Batista.
Thank you.
Rock is arguably fourth. Hey, Ted Rhodes in that Marine movie.
Oh my god!
Ted DiBiase. That was a Ted DiBiase.
Oh my god! Wow.
No, but okay. So Elimination Chamber. I'm seeing a graphic. I got Cena, and I got CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as CM Punk's one of the awesomest wrestlers ever, Cena claps his cheeks. Who else gets in this Elimination Chamber? How do you decide that?
They do qualifying matches on Raw and SmackDown.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure. Can you guess like who is going to be eligible for it? Like some names. Is it pretty okay? It's not like these are the guys that are probably going to like Seth. I would assume Seth Rollins is in the conversation.
Seth has a qualifying match. Finn Balor has a qualifying match. I imagine like Priest will have a qualifying match. I imagine McIntyre will have a qualifying match.
Are Priest and Finn and Rhea a thing still? That little group.
So
Judgment Day, was that it?
So at SummerSlam this past year, Finn turned on Priest.
Good.
And cost him the world title, which is why Gunther's the world champion right now because Gunther beat Priest. So
okay, I like that.
So Finn took over the Judgment Day and kind of cast Priest out, just like at SummerSlam when Dom turned on Rhea and cast her out of Judgment Day as well. So they are both not part of Judgment Day anymore.
Cool. I can dig that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what other names could be in this Elimination Chamber with a qualifying match? I'm going through. I mean, I'm on their site.
Yeah.
AJ Styles?
Maybe. I know a qualifying match this Monday is Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul. I know there's that.
I love watching that brew, the two of them, because Logan Paul is the fucking worst human the WWE, not the worst, I mean, maybe the worst human the WWE has employed, but man, is he a awesome spectacle.
I hate watching Logan Paul on WWE, but that's exactly what they want me.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So I know he's doing a good job with this because like I truly hate watching him.
Yeah.
But
now, do you hate watching him because you hate him, or you hate watching him because he's shoved down your throat, or do you hate watching him because he's bad at wrestling? Okay.
No. Logan's good.
Yeah.
Logan's good, which pisses me off that he's this good, but he's good. He's very good.
And I can't even say it's like a slap in the face because he's an all-American high school wrestler, and he's always been a consistently freak athlete.
No, and I give him a lot of credit. He really does he really is dedicated to like learning wrestling and learning the psychology aspect of it. I get a little peeved from time to time at certain comments he makes, kind of like when he when like that stuff came out about him potentially boxing Conor McGregor in Saudi Arabia, and he made the comment about how like if Nick Khan wants to keep him from boxing, he has to offer him 40 mil for WWE.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, and I'm like in my head, I'm like, fuck, there's like 40 mil you could pay so many other guys who are way more deserving of that. But again, it's wrestling is always going to be a thing where it's like, how can I get the most eyeballs on a product? It's no different than when in '85 they brought in Mr. T for wrestling. It's literally what it is. So I can't hate on it too much because they've been doing this for as long as I can remember. But
Cool.
But it is also like I just don't like Logan Paul at all. So
Which I think is totally fair. What about the big dog? What's he been up to?
Roman. So at Rumble, he got eliminated from the Royal Rumble match. Him, Seth, and Punk were all outside after they had just gotten eliminated. And as Roman is arguing with Punk, Rollins takes advantage and curb stomps the fuck out of him with a double stomp. Not 1 foot, 2 feet. After Rollins double stomps him, Rollins brawls with Punk. They get out of the way. Roman's trying to recover, and then Rollins stomps him again onto the steel steps. And then on Monday, they said something about how Roman is out indefinitely to recover from his injury. So Roman's out of the picture for now. So they're probably kind of teasing like a match with him and Rollins at Mania, I imagine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, just kind of going through the list of guys. Tell me about Braun Breaker.
Oh, have you watched any of Braun Breaker stuff by chance? Oh man, he's been on the Pat McAfee show and stuff. Like they love him, obviously. But he's the son of Rick Steiner, who's one of the Steiner brothers. He was the poster boy for kind of like the rebrand of NXT when they did NXT 2.0, and they kind of like pushed a lot of like the very young talent, kind of like gave him the spotlight and stuff, and he shined. He was the poster boy. He's very much like he's a former football player, is very like aggressive in the ring, has one of the like they did a spot at Rumble where he speared Roman, and they talked about like how he has the best spear in the business and stuff, and it's really he doesn't just have the like he's a good ring worker, but he also has that intensity and charisma that you want from someone like that. Like there's a running joke that he is essentially like he's like Goldberg Jr. because he's very intense and very aggressive in the ring and stuff. And he's popular. He acts as a heel, but he's still popular with the crowd because he has that charisma that people really gravitate towards.
Okay. This guy has to have an Elimination Chamber consideration, right? LA Knight. Isn't he like everyone's favorite guy?
Yeah, he was over for like a good point of last year as well. Like beat Paul for the US title at SummerSlam. Like he still gets a crowd going whenever he's on. He's great on the mic and everything like that. So he's a pretty good babyface. He's a little lost in the shuffle right now. I think he's kind of like in this he's in a little bit of a program with the new Bloodline, like right now. Like he was working with like Tama Tonga. He was working with Jacob Fatu. So I think he's kind of like that. He's on like that upper mid card babyface level. So like I think he just needs to. He might need a little bit of a bigger program to kind of get more like eyeballs on him to make him shine more. But I think he's there. But man, I'm telling you, Jacob Fatu is a guy that is going to have a great year this year. That man, I watched that man wrestle at Mr. Smalls 10 months before he signed with WWE.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What was it? Jacob Fatu?
Jacob Fatu. This man has always been able to be incredible in the ring. And he looks like exactly what you expect from a Samoan wrestler. Like he's chunky, he's a little disheveled and stuff like that. He has always been on WWE's radar, but they've always been afraid to bring him in because he has a criminal background in history.
Oh, okay.
Like bad. Like he was in prison for a bit. Like he I think he committed armed robbery at 18.
Wow.
So like he's a bad motherfucker in like a real way.
Yeah.
But but I have a friend of mine who actually like refs for like some of the local indie promotions, and he's talked to Fatu. He's talked to Fatu. He's like,
shout out Nate Brown.
Shout out Nick Brown. He knows him and stuff like that. He's a cool, and like from everything he's told me, like he's a cool dude. He has no filter, and he's just like a wild dude and all that. But he's a cool guy, and I watched him before he got in there, and he's incredible.
That's cool.
He's incredible.
See those guys. Are we still seeing the Demon from Finn? When's the last time we had a Demon?
The last time we saw the Demon was Mania 39 against Edge in that Hell in a Cell match, where weirdly enough, Edge had a better entrance, where he came out with like Slayer music and had like a fucking like mirror encrusted skeleton head with wings to like come out with like fire in the background. It was incredible. And Finn had just like this kind of weak like demon entrance with like these like with like these canisters that just like sprayed gas from the side that he was like kind of hanging around and stuff, and it was like a purple and red aesthetic demon, and it's just like it wasn't as cool as like you'd expect. But like
that's a shame because the Demon was the hottest. That was probably the biggest draw I think I've ever seen.
Yes, 100%. I think for them, and like we haven't seen the Demon in 2 years, and I think he should like wait like even longer.
I would wait until almost your last match at this point. Because Finn's not, when Finn joined, he was older. Yeah. He was on an NXT roster that was probably the most exciting thing WWE had. Mm-hmm. He was, I would say, as electric as a wrestler outside of the persona. Yeah. I mean, he was terrific, and I knew that he got that big injury pretty early on, and when he was having that run. Since that run, I don't think I've seen him pushed in any sort of like huge babyface way. Like it seemed like that injury and a couple other injuries really set him back into this intercontinental is his big belt type of guy.
And don't get me wrong, he's a good heel. He is a good heel. He actually like made his name as a heel in Japan, so like he knows what he's doing. I think it's him kind of rediscovering that edge that like he kind of needs to like really get to that next gear. And he just re-signed with WWE, so he's like here for another 5 years and stuff like that. So he's got time. Nice. But I'm curious what's going on with him in Mania, because I think they're teasing some like tension between him and Dom potentially. Yeah. So, like they could have a match.
That'd be cool. I like Dom.
Cool. Dom's another great heel. He has everything you want for like a despicable heel. He is the only heel that I've ever seen to be a heel entering a match and then turn heel again because he screwed Rhea over. It's incredible. It is like no one can do that.
Yeah.
No one. So like that's something that I give him a lot of credit for.
What's up with my dude KO?
So KO just lost a ladder match with Cody Rhodes at Royal Rumble.
Okay, so he's still battling the guys.
He also like went through hell in that match. Like he got banged up really good. But Monday, like you watched the end of Monday Night Raw, right? He attacked Sammy after the match.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're now, I think they're now leading towards like an angle where like KO's mad that Sammy didn't help him try to win the match at Rumble. So that's going to lead to another program at Mania. And it's poetic, isn't it? Like 1 year they're facing each other at Mania. The next year they're winning tag titles at Mania. The next year they're each going for singles titles at Mania, and now they're back to facing each other at Mania. It's just it's the story that's just never gonna end. They are forever linked, and it's gonna be interesting because this time it's different because like when they first went, Zayn was the heel, KO was the babyface. So like I'm curious how they distort this now. So it's gonna be great storytelling.
Nice. I saw a clip the other day. I think it was Drew McIntyre said to Sheamus, "Too many hamburgers" or something like that.
Yeah, that was a couple months back where Sheamus came back from injury and he was Sheamus was.
Did you hear the story about how Sheamus found out he was coming back? By any chance?
I didn't. But I know the clip you're talking about where he was like where he said where like Sheamus says banger after banger after banger and Drew says burger after burger after burger. Yeah.
Shane, they were on a pod. There's this guy I've been watching a lot of. He's a reporter, podcaster, but he gets these superstars on.
Okay.
And it's on TikTok, but he had Sheamus on, and they were talking about the burger after burger after burger and how it blew up. And the guy was like, were you just not ready for it? And Sheamus was basically talking about the injury and, like, kind of lost his edge and, like, lost the goal of it. Like, he just stopped working out a bit.
Yeah.
And he said he was sitting there watching a promo match for the next week's Raw, and the promo match had him in it. And that's how he found out he was coming back. Before his agent, before anyone called him, they had a promo cut with him. And he was like, fuck. he said a couple too many Guinnesses and stuff when he got back. But yeah, Sheamus, and I've seen him a couple times in real life down here. Still an intimidating, awesome dude, though. So cool.
Sheamus is a cool dude. Like, have you ever watched any of his Celtic Warrior workout stuff? Like, it's
No.
It's really interesting. He did one. He did one recently where he where like because like Celtic Warrior workouts is like he essentially like is interviewing like someone on the roster, but he's also like doing their workouts.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
so like he interviewed Maxine Dupree from Raw, and like he was and for the workout like he was doing Pilates.
Yeah.
So like
cool.
the idea of like Sheamus like on a Pilates machine is fucking hilarious to be able to see. And also, and I don't know if you saw this, but like him and Drew did a Hot One Versus.
No way.
Oh, it was great. And what's really funny about it is like I don't know if this is like the new kind of norm to kind of let wrestlers just be themselves or something, but like I'm watching Hot Ones Versus and like they're dropping like F-bombs just kind of left and right on the show, and I'm like just thinking to myself like what is this? Because I if this was like if Vince was still in charge, they would be like as buttoned up as possible, not being able to do anything. But no, Sheamus and Drew are just like dropping F-bombs left and right, like just casually talking like anyone would.
Yep.
And I love that because like it makes me like kind of recognize with them like as more human than I would know them as characters. So like if you ever get a chance, like I highly recommend watching it. It's very funny.
Interesting. I see still on the roster somehow is my man Shinsuke Nakamura.
Current United States champion on.
That's cool. I was just thinking literally the other day because Shinsuke, Sammy, KO, Finn, Bailey, Sasha, Charlotte.
That's the height of my fandom right there.
That to me was, that was the last time that I actually tuned in every second because that was, in my mind, the single greatest influx roster of talent an entity has ever had. Like, it beats almost any draft class I can think of. It's like, it reminds me of the running back draft class where Kamara and Eckler and like Chubb and all of them were in it. Because it's just like you look and these guys are all, they were all extremely different.
Yeah.
Shinsuke being hard style, because I think that was the same time AJ Styles came in too. And these guys all came in at these different levels. KO had been wrestling for goddamn 10 years at that point already. Him and Sammy best friends. Finn was the biggest thing in Japan. All the girls coming in and really shaking up that division. And then everything, but it was cool. But to see Shinsuke still around is something that I'm very surprised he didn't go back to Japan or go back to a more hard style thing.
I'm just as surprised, honestly, because I think that I do think there's part of it based on the fact that like because he got to America and he became so accustomed to it, I think he truly did like just enjoy the lifestyle that he has. But I think he has slowly over the last couple of years like rediscovered his love, because what's something that's really cool that now that Triple H is kind of in charge, they've been more willing to kind of appreciate also like international like appearances and partnerships, because what happened last year, beginning of 2024, there's this wrestler named the Great Muta. He was like a big Japanese legend, wrestled in WCW early 90s and stuff. That he's the alter ego of the wrestler Keiji Muto, and he was doing his retirement tour in Japan. And one of the matches that he had as one of his retirement shows was him wrestling Shinsuke. Which was a big deal because WWE hasn't notoriously been very difficult to like do like international like partnerships with, because it's like always like, oh, we don't acknowledge anything goes on outside. But like the fact that Shinsuke got to work like one of the retirement matches with the Great Muta was a big goddamn deal when it happened. And he sporadically has like done like a couple like international shows here and there. But now that he's getting more of a focal point back on the main show, he's as a heel. His presentation's a little different. He has like the same, like, he has the music that got him over. It's more of a slower beat though, so it's more menacing.
Because that was also the time that the CFO boys or whatever made everyone's theme song, because back in the day, WWE would pay trillions out. It felt like trillions for all these songs. They're paying CM Punk's band song. They're paying RKO, like all this stuff. And they had John Cena make his own theme song. But all the theme songs were actual songs up until the CFO boys cranked out 50 of the greatest theme songs I've ever heard in my entire life.
What's really funny, if you are watching the Rumble, there's a funny there's like a side part of it where if you ever are watching the Rumble and you're on Twitter at the same time, the amount of hate that goes into the current like group that does a lot of the theme now, their name's Def Rebel. Okay. And it's hilarious seeing just even like on Twitter, just like the sheer hatred that people have for like their themes. It's bad. Like because the Rumble is like, it's like that thing where like the moment that the clock winds down and like the music starts, most people, like, as soon as you hear this specific music, they go crazy.
Yes.
Now
they did. I mean, Catch Your Breath, Rising Sun, Glorious Domination. Like, Phenomenal was crazy. Like, Zane's was cooked. Like,
yeah, they dropped some bangers, but like Def Rebel is just awful.
Get out.
Straight up awful. Almost every music sounds the same. There's no like individuality for it whatsoever. It's damn near atrocious to the point that like people like on like on Twitter, people will always talk about how like they hate like when the Rumble's on, because like you should, like, the moment the music plays, you should know exactly who it is. But now it's like the music plays and you have to wait for the Tron to appear to see who it actually is before you get
Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com has a tweet that went out today.
Big fan of his, yeah.
It's 6:55 p.m. Like, this just came out. A number of WWE talent that Fight Select spoke to have expressed frustration over their Def Rebel themes and say they're actively trying to get their old ones back.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how much hatred there is. Like, if Twitter's doing it and now like the actual superstars are doing it, that's how you know it's bad.
That's so sad. Whose did they change?
They did change a lot. I don't know who. I don't have an examples off the top of my head, but like any like newer ones, especially ones that are like coming up and stuff like that, like there's no uniqueness.
Yeah, I mean Bobby Roode with like his was beautiful. Watching, I will say, there's moments watching like Seth Rollins do his, that the people singing and stuff, but like that again, that era, that KO, Sami Zayn, all those guys, like Finn Balor's theme in my mind was crazy. And again, to your point, you knew every second who it was.
Yeah, like Finn's music, like at the Rumble, I had no idea who it was until I saw the Tron. Like it was just, it's just basic.
Two more questions. One is, I didn't realize it until I obviously clicked on it.
Okay.
Uncle Howdy, formerly known as Bo Dallas.
Yep.
Is this a Wyatt recreate?
Yeah, kinda. It's the Wyatt Six.
Okay.
They debuted back in.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, they debuted back in, I think, September. It's essentially a group that Bo created as like kind of a tribute to his brother, and like each character.
That was his brother.
Oh yeah. Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt were brothers in real life. Yeah. Did you ever watch the Wyatt documentary on?
No.
Peacock? You should. It's really, really good.
I'll check it out. He was so far beyond, in my mind, what the WWE was doing.
Yes.
With the Firefly stuff. Like, that was...
But what's cool is, like, Bo essentially started this stable of, like, different guys, and, like, brought in some, like, different wrestlers and stuff, and they took on, like, the personas of, like, the different characters that Bray created. Like Nikki Cross has a Sister Abigail appearance now. Eric.
was gonna say I was looking through. I can name some of them while we're
Yeah,
going.
like Eric Rowan has a has like a still like a more like demonic like sheep appearance.
Because I was clicking all of those because I was like, all right, like Nikki Cross, yeah, there she is with her one, which is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, a guy by the name of Dexter Loomis has like the Mercy of the Buzzard like aesthetic now. A guy from NXT named Joe Gacy, he has like the Husky
Gacy with the pig thing.
Husky's the pig thing. Yeah. There's like really cool references to stuff that Bray created and stuff that they're now kind of bringing into the real life now.
Yeah,
What's interesting about them is like they're not as prevalent. They're on SmackDown now. They're not as prevalent, so like they're kind of like very much a if you get them, you get them. They're not like active at the moment, but like when they are on and all that, like they are just like must-see TV because like they just kind of light up.
All the writings on the website have 3 lines for all of them, and they're very well written, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like the one so this is for Dexter Loomis. Loyalty is the pledge of truth to oneself, but often taken for granted. The vultures picked at him as he begged for mercy, ignored by those who claimed he was family. Now he loved and appreciated, made anew without fear of betrayal. He is home. He is made whole. Like that type of stuff is very, very Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, that's really like putting a lot of emphasis into the character aspect that they're trying to build.
How did he pass?
He had like a history of heart issues, I guess. And they talk about this in the documentary. What happened was I don't know the actual name of it, but like whenever he like lies down, he was supposed to be wearing this, I guess, not heart monitor, but some sort of like vest that like I guess if your heart stops, like it's supposed to shock you back.
Yeah.
And I guess like what happened was he had gotten home one day and went into his room to take a nap. His wife called for him, and then he didn't respond. So like his wife goes in, sees that he's not breathing, and is trying to like wake him up and stuff. And then they find out that like they find out that like his heart just stopped while he was sleeping. So
that's such a shame. Obviously a wild time to read comments. We have Wes coming in. Savannah Bananas rule the world. I've seen them twice. They're the greatest show on turf.
I've never seen a Savannah Bananas game. So and full disclosure, I love the fact that they're essentially the Harlem Globetrotters of the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. So
sport, man. And then Steph, what's up, Steph? Steph says Spider-Man Funko making an appearance. Hell yeah!
Christmas gift from her. So yeah.
I have Nico got me another Funko Pop this year. It's a Dark Stormtrooper.
Oh, that's sick! I love that.
It's cool. It's cool.
By the way, speaking of my fandom and stuff like that, in terms of your fandom, just out of curiosity, like, have you like any thoughts on any of like the Star Wars stuff that's come out lately? Like, have you watched any Skeleton Crew, or are you just not interested at all?
I have almost completely fallen out of love with anything they've tried to produce. They have done a terrible job. The way that Marvel has done such a good job with advancing every aspect of it, I think Star Wars has missed. They've made no TV show that makes you need to come back to watch it out of a pure sense of amazing attachment. I thought Mandalorian, the first season, was wonderful and amazing, and I thought the more it kept going, I liked the Grogu stuff. I thought Book of Boba was there. It was fine. I thought they did a really poor job with Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought it was nothing. Bringing Ewan McGregor back and Hayden Christensen for his roles was great and genius. I thought the show itself was so mind-numbingly boring that I just didn't care for it. I had a really tough time getting through Andor. I don't know what it is. I just can't watch these storylines and fall in love with them the way that the movies have been able to make me do, and I haven't even tried to watch Skeleton Crew.
I was curious about this because I don't have the same attachment to Star Wars that you do. Like, I appreciate it, but like it's not something that I go out of my way towards.
Yeah.
I was curious, is it because the stories that Star Wars kind of tells they're not like in a straightforward path.
A little bit. That's probably. I mean, the Marvel stuff building is huge.
Yeah.
Star Wars is just kind of like, here's the thing over here. Look at it. Do you care? And it's just not. They're not the characters we want. If they made genuinely like Obi-Wan, there should have been something more tied to him and like they had flashbacks to him and Anakin together. We need a Clone Wars. We need a real one. We need a Yoda story. We need General Grievous, his story told. I don't know. Do you know his story? I gotta think of the actual.
Grievous is like the
giant robot with 4 arms.
Okay, the dude that was like wielding like 4 lightsabers that Obi-Wan fought in Episode 3. Okay.
So I'm gonna read you his backstory.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me how awesome.
But real quick, just out of curiosity, I mean, like, do you actually need a real Clone Wars? Because, like, from what I've heard, like, the actual, like, animated Clone
show
Wars
is awesome.
Okay.
It's awesome. If you brought Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor into a live-action rendition of some of the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars TV show, the good thing it did, it humanized Obi-Wan into the point where it brought in love interests that he had in the past, and so then it understand the parallel with Anakin and how he understands a little more. But if you're going to bring Ewan McGregor back, you brought him back in a place where he just ended Anakin, so Darth is there, and he's weak. He has no power. He's just basically waiting to then live in the desert till Luke comes.
Right.
And it just was not the story that is amazing. Like, it's not the story that draws you.
It's like a more because if I remember correctly, like Rogue One is one of your favorite movies, right?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, so like what Rogue One is interesting because Rogue One takes place between 3 and 4, and Rogue One is essentially like the crew that gets Princess Leia the plans to the Death Star.
Yeah.
So it's like, but that's interesting that it's
builds to something that is this moment that I was attached to and grew up with.
Okay.
How did they get the Death Star is never explained.
Right.
Never explained. How they get the Death Star blueprints.
Okay.
So Rogue One to me was, we know exactly where it's going, but it's building up to something that is like, oh, we know it's kind. To me, obviously, I don't think this movie holds up compared to Rogue One. It's kind of like why I had any interest in Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Because at the end, he's vanishing away. He calls a symbol. Then we're like, hey, we're going to go show you why he called the symbol and how this person is going to impact. And I was like, awesome. I am 100% in. And you got to get me with the story before I'm done blind loving Star Wars production. So here is the real like understanding of General Grievous. He's depicted as a brilliant military strategist who serves as supreme commander. He started as this thing called a Kaleesh, right? And I'm trying to just find the fucking backstory. I'll do Wikipedia. That's the better one.
Wait, Star Wars fan page is Wikipedia. I love that.
Yeah, so they call it Wikipedia.
That's incredible.
Grievous.
In fairness, as a Power Ranger fan, they call it Ranger Wiki, which is lamer. So like, I get it.
Super lame compared to this.
Yeah, way lamer.
So I'm gonna read you the backstory of General Grievous, and you tell me if this sounds like something they should have fucking made.
Okay.
Now, granted, they touch base on his origin in Clone Wars, but not the way it deserves.
Okay.
Grievous, born Kaiman Jai Salil, was the cyborg supreme commander of the Droid Army, the Confederacy of the Independent Systems for most of the Clone Wars. Grievous was originally a Kaleesh from the planet Kali, where he lived his early life. During the Kaleesh conflict against the Huk, Shalil quickly learned the art of war, specializing in slug thrower rifle, just their common rifle at the time.
Okay.
Quickly amassing a great number of Huk kills, he soon became a demigod amongst his own people. He eventually met a female Kaleesh, Rondori Lige Kumar, a master with the sword. The two became very close before Kumar's death at the hands of a Huk. Heartbroken, Shalil renamed himself Grievous and turned his anger and grief toward the Huk. Aided by his elite, his just force, he forced the Huk off Khalil, and then he swarmed their homeworld, conquering them. The Huk turned to the Galactic Republic for help, and Kaleesh was forced back into his own world by the Jedi and left to starve. Desperate to help his people, Grievous took a job as an enforcer with the Intergalactic Banking Clan. However, after learning that the Huk had attacked Kali again, he headed home to gain vengeance. IGBC chairman Sand Hill, after consulting with his ally, Separatist head of state Count Dooku, arranged for a bomb to be placed in Grievous's shuttle, the Martyr. The Kaleesh was critically injured, but lived, and Hill arranged for the final stage of his plan. Grievous was reconstructed as a cyborg and was presented to Count Dooku as a potential weapon for him to use in the upcoming war that the Count had planned against the Republic. It's the coolest story in Star Wars.
Wow. Okay.
And then he just goes on this warpath of killing Jedi.
Yeah.
And taking their lightsabers.
Because he blames the Jedi for essentially unleashing the Huck on his world. Wow. Okay. So that's that's cool because it essentially it paints it's like any movie that kind of that focuses on the villain and forces you to understand why the villain acts the way that he does. That's a great way to look at it, because from this lens, it makes the Jedi look like monsters because they sided with the people that destroyed his.
There are so many stories of the Jedis being the bad guys.
Yeah.
There are stories. So why did Qui-Gon Jinn matter so much in the battle against? Oh my god.
I had you going down a rabbit hole, and I'm all for this. We just talked about a bunch of wrestling stuff that I went down rabbit holes for. I'm all for
Darth
you.
Maul.
Okay, go ahead.
Why is Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul called the Battle of Fate? It's because Qui-Gon Jinn is the only, outside of Count Dooku who slipped, the only Jedi who understands there is a balance between the dark and the light side of the Force. Mm-hmm. All other Jedi are trained to be terrified and scared of the dark side of the Force, thinking that things like love and passion and grief, all of these emotions, as Yoda says, are just paths to the dark side. Qui-Gon Jinn was the only Jedi to have a real school of thought that is the balance of the Force is humanity. If we're looking at humans at a human level, there's good and bad. It's a conflict in all of them. Qui-Gon was of the mindset that if you can live with the bad and understand the properties that the bad brings, such as increased strength with anger, such as increased, if someone is attacking my mom versus a random stranger, right, I care more because I love my mom. That type of stuff the Jedi see as bad because the Jedis don't want their forces to be human beings. So when Qui-Gon lost to Darth Maul, the galaxy lost the entire vision of Anakin being the chosen one. Because the dark side won. They took away the one Jedi who could have actually helped Anakin morph his grief for his mother and being a slave and being taken away and all that shit. And just that went out the window. Obi-Wan tried, but Obi-Wan had a previous love interest with a queen that he was set, or a princess at the time. He was set to this planet, it's in the Clone Wars, where he was set to be her bodyguard and stayed there for 3 weeks, and they fell in love. And nothing happened because he wasn't allowed to love her. He was a Jedi. They are agnostic to everything outside of what the Council tells them to do, and that was never going to go well for Anakin. It didn't go well for Luke. It doesn't go well for Rey. You see how it breaks away. Tell me the stories of past, these stories, Greg, this is why I hate Star Wars right now. Because they gave us the fucking Skeleton Crew.
Right.
Look at these stories.
Yeah.
These are beautiful works of art with intricate cast and Grievous is, I get why he's fucking bad.
I completely understand. It's
sucks.
Oh god, there's definitely examples, if you look at any comic book property about a villain turning to the way he is because of that situation. You could look at the Red Hood in DC. That's 100%. The perfect example, because Jason Todd was technically murdered by the Joker. He blames Bruce for not being able to save him, and he goes on a vigilante warpath as the Red Hood. So it's a great way to be at, because you look at Bruce as the reason for you succumbing to your injuries and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a phenomenal way to look at it. Is because I imagine, because I'm assuming the show that came out before Skeleton Crew, which was oh god, it was a Jedi centric episode that talked about I can't even remember what the hell it was called. It was
there's Mandalorian Acolyte.
Yeah.
That shit got canceled in a fucking season.
Yeah, because terrible. I would have thought Acolyte would have been like the thing that like dubbed it because it focused on the Jedi and it focused on like a dark side of the Force like user and stuff like that.
Terribly written Disney Plus pandering bullshit that just didn't actually do shit. Like, at least in Rogue One, again, I know we're building up, there are conversations about the Force and real humans and the Crystal Defenders that understand it and get it. And it's just like, you know what, maybe I need to sit down and, like, try everything again. But, like, the video game Star Wars High Republic is one of the greatest video games. The Acolyte's a part of that story, and this fucking sucked. It sucks. That's why I'm just, like, exhausted and tired from Star Wars. Like, Ahsoka Tano, like, give me something like the Clone Wars with her and Anakin. I get they don't want to live action that because it's so good in understanding, and I get that.
Right. Because Ahsoka takes place like way after the Clone Wars, right? It's literally Ahsoka because Ahsoka takes on Apprentice, right?
She's Apprentice before. Yeah, she is once Anakin is no longer Apprentice with Obi-Wan. She steps in as Apprentice in the Clone Wars, which is there. The annoying thing about like even the Mandalorian and Grogu and all that stuff is just like, it was Mandalorian. The reason it worked, the reason I loved it, it was a Western where the hero comes into town and there's a singular issue to solve and he solves it. The Mandalorian is the single greatest entity outside of the movies Star Wars has even sniffed. And it's because of Pedro Pascal and being amazing, but it's also because it literally is just every episode and it's a fun casual watch and it's universe building, but then it ties into stuff, and I get the tie-in. They brought Luke back and they did that, and they talk about Grogu being one of the students of Luke and blah blah blah, and that's building, and they tried really hard to build a universe around it, and I just almost wish they would have kept it separate in that stage. And maybe I'm just being an old angry person, but it just sucks when I can read you the biography of a villain we have, someone we've had in real life, and it's the coolest story in Star Wars.
But they don't want to show it because it like paints. I don't want to say it paints a negative aspect on like the Jedi, but it's not a story for some reason that they want to tell, you know. And mind you, we just like if you look at Disney Plus, we just had an entire show about Agatha Harkness.
Yep,
who was an evil witch. And we fell in love with her because of it. Meanwhile, we find out in the last episode how much she murdered people throughout her entire existence, and we still love her character. So it's like
to me and says, "I have no idea what you guys are talking about."
Eh.
Greg, let's do a mock, but I have to run to the restroom first. So give me a few seconds. I'm going to put it now. What I can do though is put it on full screen. So Greg, you have the full screen for 30 seconds. Good luck.
All right. I don't know what much to talk about on this one because I'm lost. I'm just a casual person here. Can't really say much, you know. I'm just bored. But what I will say, I just got done finishing the entire comic book run of Invincible. For people who don't know, Invincible, Amazon TV show, you know, animated cartoon series about a kid who discovers that he has superpowers, but turns out his dad is also like an evil conqueror and stuff like that. I just finished all 144 issues, 3 compendium books, like textbook size, like institutions and stuff like that. And I can honestly say, aside from another series that I read last year, Invincible is one of the greatest comic book stories, complete run I have ever read. The development of characters in it, the real like attachments that you get from it, like just the understanding of what you think someone is from the start and then what they kind of change into as the series progresses, and then just this layer of responsibility that comes from these characters that as they go from it, it's a phenomenal read. And I can only say, for people who actually watch the cartoon and care about it at all on Amazon, where they are at right now in season 3, if you compare that to based off of the comics that I just read, there's a very good chance that this show could probably be on for 12 seasons. I'm not kidding with that regard. There are this entire run of Invincible is about 144 issues with like a couple of specialties from here and there. The story and all the way through needs to be told in its entirety. And I can also not say enough, by the way, about the artwork is fucking beautiful. Just incredible. Invincible, the TV show, is a gory, violent show that a lot of people can be turned away from and stuff. But the reason it is that way is because if you look at the comic and you just see the artwork and how just kind of violent it is, but also the colors and the penciling that they do to just really show like how destructive and just gory and violent some of this stuff is. Like, it's incredible to see. And it's weirdly, and I don't mean it to sound this way, but like just the way that they design it and draw it, it's so beautiful. It sounds weird to say, I know, but that's the way I can view it from someone that is a comic fan in general. I have stacks of comics like over here and stuff like that. I can honestly not say enough about it.
What were you talking about the whole time?
Seriously enough, it was because I talked about how I recommend anyone who likes the Invincible TV show to read the comics, because I just finished.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So I keep telling my friends, Toby and Sam, every time a new season comes out that, I was just waiting for this season to come out so I can binge it. And so I now...
Well, like, here's the thing. I haven't watched the show, but I read the entire series. Like, I finished it this past weekend. Because, like, I remember last time you were over, like, I had the compendiums on my coffee table. So, like, I finally finished them this weekend. What up, Bean? Dude, he's getting long.
Yeah, too long.
Say hi. What up, Bean? Oh.
Get down. Get down. Come on.
Oh. I'll see him in April.
All right, let me set this up.
I do recommend, if you ever like have free time or something, like read the comics. The artwork is incredible. It really is. It's beautiful. Yeah.
I need to check that out. All right, let's run a mock and get out of here.
Let's do it. I love the fact that like I'm now gonna have a board in front of me and I don't have to like pull it out of my ass to remember everyone. I love this shit.
Has it side by side. I think.
So good.
Can you change the layout of it? No, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Pick a number between 1 and 2.
2.
Okay, it was 2. You go first.
Nice. Okay. Number 1 for the Tennessee Titans. I'm imagining that they are probably off the Will Levis train. I'm imagining.
I saw something where he said himself that winning 3 games is not how you keep a starting job. But he's ready to compete against whoever comes in.
I'd be curious in this case too, because like if they draft Cam Ward, like I'm assuming Ward's going to be older than Will Levis.
Wow, Kat said we'll be getting into Invincible for sure.
Ooh, okay. Like I said, I've never watched the show. I've heard good things, but like I've read I officially read the entire series, and it's phenomenal. Great story. I'm all for them taking Cam Ward here simply for a quarterback competition, and if they decide to let go of Will Levis and maybe recruit some additional picks, just to say, I think Cam Ward is going to be a thing. I don't think Cam Ward is going to be the thing that takes Tennessee over the hump necessarily, but I do think that in today's day and age, senior quarterbacks that have been around are just going to get drafted higher than we probably expect them. So give me Cam Ward at 1. I'm curious, is there any like local like excitement for the Titans being the first overall pick?
Don't fuck it up is what I keep hearing.
Is it? Okay, I like it.
Don't mess it up, man.
What would be considered fucking it up in your opinion?
Travis Hunter.
Really?
To the city. Because well, yeah, it's tough because maybe not Travis Hunter, but I think Travis Hunter, because to the city they need they brought in Calvin Ridley and they signed L'Jarius Sneed. Mm-hmm. So they don't really need a guy that's one or the other or the playmaker. They need a quarterback, or They need O-line help, which luckily, there are some really good ones. I love Will Campbell. I love Banks. I love the guys in this class. But there's not a guy that's the Eric Fisher surefire number 1 overall pick. I do think that Mason Graham and Abdul Carter would be picks that everyone here would be okay with, but everyone in this city would say, why did we not trade back for that? Like, I know for a fact Titans fans and Cleveland fans I'm friends with have both said they'd rather trade back.
Yeah, that's just the case for one of these years. Like, it's funny how when there's not like that like true elite quarterback prospect, like how bad like people want to trade back.
Yep.
It's interesting how that correlates, but
I'm the Cleveland Browns. This one is extremely easy for me. Myles Garrett wants a trade. Abdul Carter, plug him right in there, and you might miss a beat because Myles Garrett's tremendous. But Abdul Carter, the largest riser we've seen this year by far.
His Ohio State tape is
crazy.
Impressive. Very impressive. It made me a believer in him. I got the Giants. This one's easy. They need a quarterback in the worst way. Give me Shedeur.
Yeah. Yep. That's how I have all kind of my mocks walking there. New England's an interesting one. Always looking at needs. Tackle, edge, D-line, linebacker, running back. I think that this is kind of where it gets interesting because I don't think you can pass on a generational talent like Travis Hunter.
Right.
But Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel.
Trench guy.
Yeah, and so then you look at Will Campbell and Mason Graham. I think Mason Graham is an all-pro contender his rookie year.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Will Campbell. I'm going to get Drake May some help. Drake May looked great last year. Drake May needs a line. They have probably the worst line in the NFL. And you know what? Will Campbell's right there. So although you have two maybe all-pros, that's where I'm going.
They're the first team in the top 4 that has their quarterback figured out. So, yeah, like by all means in this case, they're take best of the bunch. Jaguars at 5. Full disclosure, by the way, that organization is a fucking mess.
And 100%. Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm excited for Tony Baselli to be the EVP of football operations and stuff like that. But oh my god, they got screwed over so bad when they tried to stick with Bulky, and then that blew up in their face.
Yeah,
in the worst way. Part of me really wants to go Travis Hunter here, just for
wide receiver and cornerback.
Wide receiver and corner, but at the same time though, I really think they also need to look in the trenches as well. So I'm gonna go Mason Graham here.
He is the biggest stud defensive tackle we've seen in a very long time.
His measurables doesn't feel like he should be, but when you watch him on tape, the man is violent in the middle, which is exactly what you want from a defensive tackle like that.
Is the easiest pick in the entire class for me. Raiders would sprint up there to get Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they would be thrilled in that case.
Well, and they would let him play whatever position he wants to play. They are no talent, I would say, on offense outside of Brock Bowers, and the defense has Max Crosby, and that's kind of it. So they need a little bit of love on everything.
Yeah. Okay. 7 for the New York Jets. Brand new head coach coming from the Lions mindset, building in the trenches. Give me Kelvin Banks here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which by the way, can we also point out here, I didn't realize this at the time, but something we need to look back on as well. Man, Mekhi Becton is so much better as a guard than a tackle.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? My God.
I'm up for the Panthers. Normally I would take a Will Johnson here and just walk away happy, but Mikael Williams is a guy that's going to have a huge combine boost. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be the Trevon Walker-ish guy of this class.
Yeah, I like that. 9 for the Saints is interesting because I feel like they need a lot here, but I'm probably gonna. They don't have a quarterback situation, but I also think they definitely need to get more playmakers on that defense because I think defense is kind of their bread and butter. So I'm gonna go Will Johnson here.
Yeah, that's kind of where I've had him going. Is they can pick, they need line help as well, which is crazy considering the tackle we had those two guys. Cameron Williams, Emory Jones, and There was someone else that I thought was much higher. Those were all there. Connerly, Armin Membo came out of nowhere, kind of. Esra, like all those guys we had being like top 10 potential picks right now. And so it's interesting how it's been falling. I've seen a lot of people go here and go Genty, and I hate that.
By the way, to circle back on McWilliams, and I apologize, Combine, because like I think he underwhelmed. He underwhelmed a bit this year, but I'm curious how much of that was based on the fact that like Georgia's defensive line wasn't necessarily like the elite group that we usually are expected of them.
Yeah, I could agree with that. The Bears don't need wide receiver help right now. They got to let Rome try. I don't like everybody taking Genty there. I don't think it makes sense. They have Swift on a nice deal. He had a good year. They can get really good people in this entire class. Tackle's interesting because most of the big guys are gone. I like Armin, but I'm not taking him here. And Josh Simmons, who I think could be the best tackle in this class. The injury just still scares me despite that line being terrible. And one thing for the Bears, in a lot of my mocks, I have them taking big advantage of this interior line class. So it's kind of like, really you want to look for who can actually make some talent here. DT would be one, but Kenneth Grant being so far away and Shamar there. So I am going to go James Pierce. And I think they get a swing at just a potentially all-pro guy.
This is a swing worth it, in my opinion. He underachieved this year, and I think you were the one that pointed out like his tape as well. That like I don't know if he necessarily got he got the James Clowney treatment of like the double and triple team and stuff like that. So I'm curious to see how he does in a one-on-one matchup in the NFL, and they do play a 4-3, so it would work very well in that sense for him. This one's easy for me, for the San Francisco 49ers in a very rare situation. Get someone to be the heir apparent for Trent Williams and give me Josh Simmons.
Yeah, that's a very common and very good pick there. Same as this one. Dallas goes Genty. So back-to-back. The Simmons one, you're getting arguably the best tackle in the class to back up arguably the best tackle in the NFL. And the guy can't come in the beginning of the season and play, might not play this year if they redshirt him, which they have the ability to.
Absolutely.
And then you just slot him in as one of the better tackles in the class. Genty in Dallas. I've seen smoke for Dallas wanting a wide receiver. I don't believe. Now, if Tate falls, maybe. If T-Mac's there. I don't see Burden going this high. I don't see Ibuka going this high. So Genty's just all generational. And if they actually want to be a team that does anything, I did hear a rumor that they bring up Schottenheimer so they lose from Cam Newton, which I thought was interesting. They're trying to tank for Arch.
Oh my God!
Well, he said this has one and done written all over it.
Really? Okay.
That's what Cam was saying. I don't necessarily agree, but at the same time, it's Jerry. So
yeah, that's true. I think the stat that's like been popular about how like the Eagles ran for more rushing touchdowns in the NFC Championship game than the Cowboys did all season is jarring enough to really invest in that. But I'm also curious if they like look at the O-line as well to maybe get that.
They should. It's a big interior class too.
For me, Miami, this one's also easy. Give me Malachi Starks. I love this kid. I know that the dude from South Carolina is starting to get some like helium over the last season stuff, but man, I've seen Malachi Starks play for a while now, and that dude is so good.
I think Emmanuel Murray is the physical Cam Chancellor-esque safety. But Starks he's everything you want out of a ball hawk.
Yes, he's a ball hawk safety that I think would be a stud, and I think Miami would definitely.
I did a mock earlier today where I had Miami taking T-Mac there, but they need to get rid of Tyreek Hill for you to want a guy like T-Mac. So
are you expecting some movement on that, or do you think like it was just all smoke and like Tyreek was just angry?
I mean, I hope so. Tyreek's the one that left the Chiefs. They didn't want to get rid of him.
That's true. But in fairness, it worked out for the Chiefs because they were able to use that money elsewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they'd be able to keep Chris Jones if they decided to re-sign Tyreek Hill.
No, probably not. This one we say is pretty easy as well. The Colts need offensive weapons. Tyler Warren's right there. He's a freak of nature with the ball. I think, obviously, again, T-Mac there, a huge potential target. But when you look at that team, Adonai Mitchell, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, really the position that is open because you're not moving any of the three of them. You would have to for T-Mac, but you don't want to. It's Tyler Warren. He can play your running back position. He can play your fullback. He can be your tight end. He's a great yak guy.
I also think this is a make or break year for Anthony Richardson, honestly. Even in his 3rd year, man, like that was a rough sophomore year even with the injuries. Atlanta, this one's also kind of easy for me. And still, again, my favorite to try to like load up to get Myles Garrett if that is the case in that sense. get some edge help here, get Jalen Walker.
Okay. Jalen Walker is an interesting one. He seems to be in that same boat of getting some inflation, which is good.
Same mold as Mikael Williams. This was not the dominant Georgia defensive line that we have been used to the last couple of years, so they may have been like underappreciated. But the fact that like both of them are still getting top 20 love shows you how good of athletes they are in that sense too. They just didn't produce as what we expect from them.
I have a lot of Shamar Stewart stock here in mocks. Stewart did not produce, but he has the ability to play across that entire defensive line, something that they need there. It'll be interesting. We'll just kind of have to wait and see here. The Cardinals, they need edge. They need line help. They need a lot. So this is where I have the kid going, Armin Membo. I think that he's been a riser. He can play inside and outside. I think the Cardinals will take another swing with Kyler Murray, and they really need to address that line right now.
I need to look more into his tape because I haven't really like seen much on him.
Yeah.
He seems
riser.
Oh yeah, like out of nowhere actually. I feel like I need to look into that. Bengals. I feel like T. Higgins is gone after this season because like I can't imagine that they're gonna like invest that much money into Burrow and Chase, and I'm assuming they're gonna have to lock up Trey Hendrickson as well.
Joe already came out and said we need to lock up Trey Hendrickson. He said
so I'm imagining T. Higgins is gone, so Cincinnati gets a gift right here and essentially gets like a plug and play replacement in this sense. Give me T-Mac here.
Yeah.
I would be so mad if this was the case, but they'd be so thrilled in this case.
I would be very pissed if that's how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle comes up. I actually had them taking Quinn Ewers in the second in a mock earlier today, which was cool. I don't know. I'm just still on the camp that eventually Geno Smith has to be done playing football, right?
Eventually, yeah.
This one screams. Now, obviously, they could use some help, but this one screams Shamar Stewart. He's a freak of nature. He has to be the biggest physically gifted athlete in this entire draft class. Just no production in college, but Seattle stays doing shit.
I like it. I like it a lot. I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I imagine they're going to lose Chris Godwin, so I'm going to pair someone in the last few years of Mike Evans is a guy you hate, but I'm going to go with Luther Burden.
Which is so funny. I don't hate Luther Burden. I just do not see...
You don't see the hype.
I see the talent there. When you look at receivers in the league, he is not... he's so much more JSN than he is Malik Neighbors.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, like, he'll probably have an all-pro season and be okay, but he needs a lot of shit around him, too, which is great for Tampa Bay.
He fits the same reason that I love Deebo Samuel so much, is that Deebo was asked to do everything at South Carolina, and therefore, like, Luther Burden was asked to be the offense for Missouri. So, like, I know he can do everything. I think the measurables might hold him back a little bit, but I at least like see like him willing to do everything possible in an offense to be able to work. So
Sean Payton's teams work best with a tight end. I think this one's easy. Colson Loveland is the last. Like, and just for the record, love Harold Fannin. Harold Fannin is a freak. He puts numbers up like nobody's business. His tape against I want to say it was like Alabama or something. One of their first games of the year where they lost. He had like 115 yards, 2 touchdowns. It just blew.
Oh no, me and you watch tape. Like we see it.
Yeah,
like we see the Antonio Gates comps, like just on the body type and stuff. I don't think he'll produce obviously like that, but like he can absolutely get there.
But Loveland is the tried and true traditional tight end here, so it feels good.
Yeah, I got the Steelers. I'm starting to slowly come around to Walter Nolan.
Okay.
A little bit. I think what kind of like pushed me away is because like I feel like he should have produced a bit more. But if I'm relying on him to be like that 3-4 type defensive lineman that like I want for the Steelers, I think he fits that because he doesn't necessarily need to be the pass rush specialist, so he fits that. So in this case, I'm going to go Walter Nolan.
Okay.
I can make an argument for Kenneth Grant, but I think
I like Grant, but that's just because of all the stuff we've talked about with Nolan. But Nolan's still great, man.
Yeah. So like and also like there's records of him like getting a lot of love at the Senior Bowl. So like I'm reading into it a little bit, but like I want to see combine measurables between him and Grant because I think him, Nolan, and Harmon. This is like the sweet spot in this area for the Steelers. So like I want to see which one produces a little bit better. Because I think Harmon's the favorite, but Nolan, I think, has a little bit more upside after from what I've been reading into it.
Chargers are interesting because wide receiver's clearly a top one there. So you see Egbuka, but for me, this is a very good, deep wide receiver class, and so if it's not a guy you're in love with, it's tough. The other thing I know about the Chargers is that they just had Joe Alt, who they are now, he is going to be there for 10 years. Another guy in this class, I think arguably the best lineman in this class is Tyler Booker out of Alabama, interior offensive lineman. Keep Justin Herbert upright. It's the reason J.K. Dobbins might win Comeback Player of the Year. It's the reason QJ was even able to catch a ball that line. So keep Tyler Booker in there and give them some more help for Herbert. Definitely
best interior guy in this class. Absolutely. All right, I'm up for the Packers. This one, both of these guys, me and you like, obviously, but I'm gonna lean towards Benjamin Morrison in this case. I think Morrison's going to test very well at the combine. I think he's going to interview very well at the combine. He's an aggressive type of player from what we've seen on tape and stuff. So I think he's going to be a natural fit in that Packers defense for them.
Yeah, I don't understand a lot of people having Barron above Ravel. It's interesting.
Don't say people. Say DJ. Say it with your chest. It's
he had Barron as like a top 5 goddamn.
Yeah, don't sugarcoat this shit. It's DJ.
So I'll go Ravel for the Vikings, purple on purple, and just call it a day there. So
my guy, I love him. All right, I'm up for Houston. I think this is a steal for them in this case. Kenneth Grant for them is awesome. Like absolutely help build that defensive line with Will Anderson. That'll go a long way for them.
Yeah. Matt Stafford is still the quarterback in the Rams, despite how much they absolutely hate having to trade Cooper Kupp. I could see them going with Egbuka knowing that was there. The D-line is shored up, even though you have 2 great edges here. But a guy that I've been high on, rising the tackle, Josh Connerly Jr. His tape's great. Yeah. I think that he's been very much a consistently late riser, which has been good, and he's a smart tackle in this class.
Yeah, I like that. Even when Mike Green embarrassed him, he recovered very nicely in the Senior Bowl and stuff. So which is exactly what you want from an offensive lineman. For the Ravens, for me, this one hurts, but I think this is also an easy pick for them. Give me Derek Harmon here. I think that's a phenomenal, just continue to build the trenches for them because, they just always find a way to get guys to play on that defensive line that just show up no matter what.
I got the Lions. The tough thing is this is a decent edge class in terms of late. I like Sevin Jones. I like Tyler Barron. I love Jack Sawyer in the second. Corner is another position they really need. Barron's here. I do like AT the more I've watched. He's just long. Hairston is a great corner. The more you look at corners, though, it's just deep. Kobe Bryant, people are talking a lot about him to the Steelers, which I really
like. A lot of people like Zy Alexander, too, from what I've seen, too.
Yep, Jabbar Muhammad's great. So for me, this is an upside pick. Get a guy that could possibly be across from Hutchinson for the rest of our lives, and that's Mike Green, who has been the Marshall.
It's my favorite pick in the draft. I don't know why. I see how undersized he is, but I just see I just see how much effort he puts in what he does. It makes me so excited. The Washington Commanders. I think if you're the Commanders, you're ecstatic to be in this situation because you clearly have overachieved this year, and you're just getting kind of elite talent no matter what. And from what I see, give me Jody Barron here. Yep. I think adding to that secondary is going to be huge because they've already done such a great job with that front four. So adding more on that back, especially with a chess piece like that, from everything we've seen, I think he'll be great for them.
This one's tough because I don't really understand why they can't win. It doesn't make sense to me. They're really good. I don't like Deion Walker. I think a lot of his tape, from what I've been reading, is lazy. His engine is not there, so he can get a little lazy. Love Orman not late. Love Sherman Turner late. Love Ty Robinson late. Love Ty Hamilton late. So for me, it's let's hold off there for a second. Edge, Scorton, but Sawyer, Princely's talked about. Landon Jackson's a freak of nature. Kyle Kennard. Jared Ivey's another one out of Mississippi that they love. So for me, it's let's get them a number 1 wide receiver in Egbuka because they don't really – Keon Coleman did not turn out to be what they wanted to be. And so if you're really going to look at what Josh needs on that offense. It just appears to be an additional pair of hands to catch the ball because Dalton Kincaid can't.
Yeah. Are you buying into the Matthew Golden
Yes,
rising that he's getting?
100%. I claimed that in the chat.
Aggressive rise, man. Especially with Isaiah Bond in this class too.
He was better than Isaiah Bond this year when Texas played. I didn't understand the Isaiah Bond round 1 hype. When they played in the playoffs, I texted our group and said Golden is the best receiver on this team.
I was in that chat. Yeah, I agree with you, and I was very surprised how well he was doing. But I'm surprised. I'm even more surprised by just the helium he's getting in this draft class now because of it. So it's fascinating. All right, so I got the Eagles. They're very good at building the trenches, but I'm gonna go a route here because I think their linebacking core is very good. They lost Nakobe Dean for the playoffs, which really hurt them. But I think Jihad Campbell has all the measurables that you want for a linebacker for them. Me and you are both fans of Carson Schweissinger. Don't get
me. It made me
me
mad when Dre said a linebacker. I was like, okay, you got to watch some tape, dude. Schweissinger I think he led NCAA in terms of single tackles. He was a freak down there. Earned every rep, played special teams. He is a guy that I think is such a good linebacker, but Campbell is the guy.
Yes, Schweissinger is not Peyton Wilson. I think Peyton Wilson's a little more dynamic in what he can do, but Schweissinger is also a tackling machine that can just puts his head down and is able to do his work. But Jihad Campbell absolutely has the measurables you want for an NFL linebacker.
I've been running for Philly mainly because Scorton's been gone, but Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State because he is a huge morale guy, engine guy, feels great, but he doesn't have to be the guy on that Philly line. So that's just where I've been leaning. But for the Chiefs, I like Donovan Jackson a ton. I think Donovan Jackson, the Ohio State whole line was crazy. Cameron Williams, I like a ton. Ursary, I like a ton. I don't really think you can go wrong on the pick here. Yeah. But just assuming it is one of the bigger needs, I'm going to go Cameron Williams, Texas.
I would love the Arizona dude here, too, as well. The Jonas Savia.
Yeah.
That dude's a mauler. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, good. Well, Greg, we're just doing one round. I accidentally clicked 2, but
that's okay.
That is our first show back in January and our first show back for a while on Facebook.
It's actually February, bud.
Since January.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. Okay. Everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Everybody on Facebook chat, it was really cool to see all the people that we haven't seen in a really long time. And so we will continue to poke around with Riverside and see what we can get out of it and maybe do a TikTok.
I've never been on TikTok in my life, so that would be a first for me.
There's a button click to get us live on there, so we'll see.
It's just a button? Holy shit. Technology, man.
It's crazy. Greg, say bye to everybody.
Bye, everybody.
We'll see you guys next week. All right. And we are stopped. Cool. It worked.
That was fun. I even got